As I noted in the episode last night, there is no real significant news to move things along today. Tesla news is almost 100% related to Grok, or Grok, and the $25,000 Euro car, 25,000 Euro car to be built in Berlin, which is almost week-old news. Many are claiming that the uptrend is about that news this morning. I think it's momentum and something else, but that's just me. Bonds are still taking profit so far today, but trading still around 4.6%. Tesla is starting off much stronger than the other indexes, than the indexes or its peer group, the Magnificent Seven. I suspect Grok has something to do with this. So this is Randy Kirk. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and then be prepared because you want that notify button because Larry will be on tonight with me. This is the first time he'll be co-hosting the Monday night, the Tesla happy hour. No, I don't know what we're going to call it. Anyway, Good News Monday. Anyway, we got Brian White coming around noon today, and I'm guessing both shows will have some conversation about Grok. I'm about positive of that. Okay. This Grok news is about as big as it gets because it is the biggest thing going on right now is AI. And well, you get it. I don't have to tell you. It's really big news. All right. And then, of course, we could use more Patreon members at any given time and folks to be buying those amazing Cybertruck bottle cap openers. And thank you so much for all the great orders over the weekend. All right. Saudi Arabia and Russia have announced today that they will continue the oil production cuts through the end of the year. Now, this was only a confirmation, but it's making headlines. I'm telling you, the news doesn't have, there's nothing out there this morning, so they're looking for anything. That is not a headline. They already said they were going to do this through the end of the year. It's only a confirmation. I think the headline should have been Russia and Saudi Arabia did not extend their cuts into 2024. That's the headline. That's the surprise. I mean, we only have 7 weeks left in this year, and they're not saying what they're going to do in January and February, which is way more important than the fact that they're going to continue to do what they've already been doing for the next 7 weeks. Anyway, the oil market got it. They weren't fooled, and oil is up a tiny bit this morning, I think $1. So no real movement there. Anyway, Umbism, who we commonly quote here, he always seems to have some insights that are worth talking about. Elon Musk takes advantage of Spain's tax incentives and creates a Tesla holding company in Barcelona. He says it's worth remembering that last June, negotiations began for an electric car company to install a gigafactory in Valencia for a value of more than $4.5 billion. And he doesn't say this, I'm saying this. And of course, those were scuttled because the folks in Spain decided that they wanted to get out ahead of the news and ahead of when Tesla wanted them to talk about the subject. So, sometimes people could say bygones could be bygones, and what might be going on in Spain? Anybody know anything I don't know? Anyway, thank you, Umbism. This was an effort by him because he had to translate the article in order to tell us what was going on. All right. Multiple sources this morning are reporting sightings of the Cybertruck in off-road settings with snaps. Hey, those were the snaps I put in the thumbnail. Yeah, it's fun to see that it looks like this is going to be an excellent off-road vehicle. Not that I know anything about off-roading, but from Garage Club, which that's with a K, Garage KLUB, they said random meetup in Tahoe National Forest. Subaru off-roading crew meets Tesla's Cybertruck team in action. Word is the electric beast holds its own on rough terrain, just like the Subaru. Gear up for an off-road revolution, they say. Well, the VIX has fallen 30% last week to 14.9, its biggest weekly percentage decline in 2 years. Now, last week was record-breaking in so many different directions. The S&P was up a record amount. The bonds were down a record amount, or bond yields were down a record amount. In the US, swaps are implying a near 100 basis point reduction in the Fed funds rate during 2024, with interest rates cutting starting in June. Kathy Wood chimes in. She doesn't post that often on X. She says, check out one of the last charts. If you watched the show Saturday morning, you would have seen Kathy going through a bunch of different charts. In this particular chart, she says the 10-year Treasury bond yield versus the ratio of metals to gold prices. It suggests that the 5% Treasury bond yields are way out of line and should be closer to 2% based on the ratio of metals to gold prices. So as I mentioned before, she thinks bonds are going to 2.5%. I think that in the immediate, they're going to 4.25. Gary Black has said he thinks that they're going to go to 4%. So those are just a few folks that are talking about the trend that I think is going to happen with regard to bonds. In a new Tesla Shanghai interview out today, and this was translated by TSLACHAN, Tesla Chan, Tesla Tao Lin's interview summary today. 1, many of the improvements to the upgraded Model 3 came from the R&D center in China. We forget about that R&D center over there. 2, for example, ventilation sheets, new interior materials, quietness, and ambient lights were developed by the Shanghai R&D Innovation Center. Number 3, Tesla established the Gigafactory data center to achieve localization of data storage. All in-vehicle generated data sold in China will be stored in China. Number 4, currently a car can come off the production line in about 30 seconds. I think it used to be 45. Number 5, automation in the welding workshop is now close to 100%. And number 6, gigacasting reduces manufacturing time from 1 to 2 hours to 3 to 5 minutes. How about that for a drop? And then 7, finally, the Shanghai Megafactory, or for the Megapack product will cover the global market. So the fact that they're mentioning that again, I'm thinking this building is up. This is halfway up. It's most of the way up. They're putting the equipment in. They just haven't told us where it's going to be. All right. There's another positive article about a customer experience with Tesla in, of all places, Business Insider. I just have to start thinking that maybe they're hoping to get some of the advertising money that has been promised by Elon Musk. The story goes on to talk about how this owner was thrilled at every level, from the ease of purchase to the fueling up on long trips, and gave about 5 or 6 different major points about how happy he was with the car. He actually said the only negative he had, that sometimes he had to get into conversations with people about Elon Musk. These would be people from the left who are unhappy with Elon's move toward the right. A bit of the technicals of Tesla from MarketWatch this morning. There is much more to this article, but here was the part that grabbed my attention. The stock has been tracking a nice uptrend since bottoming at about a 2.5-year intraday low of 101.81. We all remember that back a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Then after a bad earnings report, the stock broke the uptrend line and dropped below the 200-day moving average. Keep in mind that the stock's fall from the July 19th intraday high of $299.29. Randy's group will never forget that day because I missed it by, 71 cents, to the October 31 low of 194.07. That was an intraday low. Retraced about 53% of the January 3 to July 19th rally. If you guys watch this show on a regular basis, you know that I reported this retracement, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago. As Wall Street followers of the Fibonacci ratio, never heard of that before, will tell you if a retracement stays roughly within 61% of the previous trend, that previous trend remains intact. All right, so the previous trend was heading up and above 300, of course. I'm seeing a few more headlines suggesting it's time for the great rotation of the big 7 and into the other 493 of the S&P 500. I personally started talking about this great rotation over 2 months ago. I think that there has to be a great rotation at some point. I believe it's overdue, and especially now with the good earnings. That is not investment advice, and I have no idea which stocks you would want to pick if you were thinking that some of the other S&P 500 stocks would now start to benefit from the good news and the new bull market. But I believe there will be lots that will. I love this headline from Barron's. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup has launched a chat box to compete with ChatGPT. It shouldn't be a concern for Microsoft, which looks to have a healthy lead in the AI race. Now, can you imagine if this was the opposite and Microsoft was now coming into the market and Tesla had already been in the market? That headline would have been just absolutely reversed. It would have said, Microsoft launches Grok killer with breakthrough capabilities. Trueflation is at 2.34% this morning, continuing its long time now, multiple weeks under 2.5. Okay, I have no idea from day to day, but I believe interest rates are headed down and equities will be headed up this week and in actually all the way to the end of the year. But after last week's record-setting increase in bonds and equities, expect some profit taking. It's going to be part of the story this week. You know, you get that kind of a run up, you're going to have some profit taking. Nothing crazy, but I think steady as you go this week. Then next week, we start getting into much more reports, from various agencies and various surveys that are taken, and we'll start to see maybe a little more volatility again. I think this week is going to be kind of a bland week, unless there's a major news event that we don't know about. All right, let's take a look at where the stocks are now, and etc. So Tesla was up as much as $5, is now only up $2. The Dow Jones, which was up strongly, is only up $3.97. The NASDAQ, which was up much stronger, is now up only $37. S&P 421. So the profit taking is taking place. And the Magnificent Seven, as I mentioned, are all not as strong as Tesla. Let's look at the percentages here. So the Dow Jones is basically up. It's not up at all. It's basically a break even at this point. NASDAQ up 0.27%, S&P up 0.09%, and Tesla up 0.61%. It was up over 2% at one point this morning. So it is following. It has a big lead this morning. I think that's Grok. And then it is following the rest of the indices after that. As they've broken down, it has broken down with them. Now, Magnificent. So Apple is up slightly more now than Tesla, because as usual, Tesla overdoes whatever it does. Higher on the highs, lower on the lows. So it's kind of on average where the rest of the Mag 7 are now. And Cathie Wood stocks are all down now. I think this probably has to do with the fact of the profit taking on bonds. Let's go ahead and take a look at that and see where the profit taking is at this point. So what you have is the Bitcoin up 116 now at 35,182. You have got the dollar continuing down, but not that much. You've got gold down $6 at 1992. You've got oil up $1.34 at 82. That's still fine. I don't see this as being an issue yet. And now let's see on bonds. Yeah, you see it's continued. They've continued up. It's now up 8 basis points. And that is got it at 4.639. Now that's still fine and good, but that is what they're seeing. That's what the markets are doing. They're still keying to this. I was hoping that we wouldn't have so much profit taking in bonds this morning, which would have allowed the stocks to continue their increase, and maybe people to stop paying attention so much to bonds as what they're keying on. The 2-month is only up barely, basically break even. The 2-year though is also up 7.5. The 10-year is now up 8 basis points. So you see, this is what is crushing the market. Profit taking. I think the day ends in the green. That's just me. Okay, so what we have is another day where I want to talk just for a minute about, this guy. I mean, oh yes, I do want to talk about the upcoming shows as well. I want to talk about Larry White at noon. roughly, could be 11, 11:30, 12, something like that, California time. And then tonight, my new programming approach, which is similar to this program, but at the end of the day, just after the bond pre-market starts at 4:30 California time is when I start producing that show. And then I try to publish it by 5 o'clock or 10 past 5 California time. All right. So you want to hit like if you didn't already do it, subscribe and notify, and then $25. You want to buy these. You know, these are cool. Come on. You know, this is cool. One after another, you're coming through. I'm seeing your orders coming in every day now, pretty much every day, getting 1 to 2 orders, sometimes for multiples. So if it's 1 for 25, 2 for 45, because you know you have friends that want one of these, and then 3 for 65, 10 for $210. You send the money to PayPal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lower caps. And you get a free one if you join Patreon at the $10 level. If you don't want one of these at all, and you want to join Patreon at the $5 or $10 level, you have the choice of getting one of my books on audio for free if that's what you would prefer. Or you could just join because you want to join and support the channel. Thank you for all the folks last week. Very good week last week in terms of folks joining Patreon. All right. One last, as we always do, one last quick look at where Tesla is headed at this moment. And Tesla is still in the green. All of the Magnificent Seven are still in the green. There is no trend up from this trend down. Right now, the trend is all down, and we'll see what happens as the day progresses. But in the meantime, it's been great talking to you.